All right, hi all, and welcome to the Actual Tech Media EcoCast, the GCP ecosystem, tools and services that protect, manage, and improve your Google environment. Such a cool topic and an important thing to be getting into these days. You know, most of us are working with GCP, or a lot of us, and I'm assuming that most of you here have chosen to attend because it's either something that you're spending a lot of time in, or maybe something you want to spend a lot of time in. And so today we're going to talk about what's new, what's evolving, where there are still some gaps, and some areas that you should be looking at solutions to maybe build out where it's a little bit more minimal. Basically, how you can bulk up, enhance, and get the most out of your Google platform. And if that wasn't enough fun, we have some top GCP experts from Rubrik and Do It who will help guide us through this interesting conversation. I cannot wait to jump in and get started, but I just want to cover a few things with you all to make sure that you're able to get the most out of your day here with us today. So let's start. We're going to take a little bit of a guided tour of your audience console. I really want to make sure that everyone here knows where that questions window is, because that is the most important part of these interactive conversations. And we do want them to be interactive. I love seeing these comments coming in. Timothy, I'm so sorry that it's 100+ degrees where you are. I hope that you are inside and air conditioned. Howdy back to you, Gilbert, as well. Love seeing all of these awesome humans coming in through the door and ready to learn and talk today. So when you have these questions coming in, post them in that questions window. You can give it a test run right now, say hi and hello to the community out there. If you are having any technical issues today, any issues with a slide not moving, maybe sometimes we see the audio gets a little glitchy. If something like that happens, if those little gremlins are clinging on to you, quickly try a browser refresh. Give that a shot. If the browser refresh doesn't work for you, post a message in that questions window there, and the Actual Tech Media team is going to be there to help you out. Now, the next tab over from that questions window is the handouts tab. If you click on that handouts tab, you're going to find some really cool resources and takeaways that you're going to want to have after we wrap today. We're going to learn so much. We've got so much to cover, and there's just no way that you're really going to retain all of it, as much as, well, maybe some eidetic folks out there. But for most of us, we need those little memory jogs. So that handouts tab is a great way that you can revisit some of these conversations a little bit later. So that's a really important piece of it. And of course, social media. Connect with us on Twitter, on Facebook, find us on LinkedIn. We've got lots of great resources for you there. So be sure that you are finding Actual Tech Media, follow us, and make sure that you're getting those follow-up conversations going after we wrap. Now, I'm going to take a quick step back and introduce myself. Again, I'm Jess Steinbach. I'm a moderator here at Actual Tech Media, and my friends and fellow moderators, Scott Becker and Keith Ward, will be here with us today on live chat. So you've got the whole awesome crew. Now, those of you who've been with us on the EcoCast before, you know that we always have some great prizes for you, and today is no exception. So today you could win one of three $300 Amazon gift cards. Now, if you're wondering what the full terms and conditions are for those, we've got them linked for you in the handouts tab. So you can head on back over to that handouts tab, click in, scroll down to the bottom, and you'll find those linked for you there. The one thing I will mention to you is that you do need to be here live and present at the EcoCast in order to win. That's the most important part. Now, that's also very important for this next prize here, which is the best question gift card. So today, if you have that burning GCP question that you've been waiting to ask, now is the time, not just because it makes it fun and engaging and awesome for all of us, but also because then you are entered to win this $50 Amazon gift card. So be sure you get those questions in. Now, even if we don't ask your question in a live session, you are still entered to win. So if we don't have time to get to your question, we'll be reviewing all of these after we wrap, and we will follow up with you. All right, there's a few of those little terms and conditions up on the screen for you there. As I said, the full T's and C's linked for you in the handouts tab, so be sure to go check those out. If you are a prize winner here today and you want to donate the value of your prize to one of these wonderful organizations, please do let us know when we follow up with you. We would absolutely love to make that happen. I mentioned social media a little bit earlier. Here's a few ways that you can connect. One of the ones I really want to make sure I call out is YouTube. Please do, if you're in that research phase, you're kind of pulling out different information, looking for different ideas, there is no shortage of ideas, cool conversations, interesting webinars, megacasts, EcoCasts, summits, whatever you've got in mind on the Actual Tech Media YouTube channel. So be sure that you're spending some time exploring that. Make sure you check out all those on-demand webinars, because as much as we wish we could attend webinars all day, every day, life comes up. We're going to miss things. So they're all there waiting for you on demand. Head on over and check those out. Now, there's a few last things I want to point out before we get rolling here. One is the Actual Tech Media Decisions Group. If you are a decision maker in your team, this is an awesome way for you to get a little bit more information, get a little more connected with some emerging technology coming out of some of the partners that we work with and some of these incredible solutions that you see here. We're going to facilitate some small roundtable conversations. There's extra chances to, get some extra gift cards to demo, to get some kind of one-on-one conversations. So if you're looking for a little bit more of that one-on-one kind of personal touch and you want to really explore some of these enterprise technology bases, please do sign up for the decision group. And the link for that is in our handouts tab. So you can fill out that application. If you are not the decision maker, pass that link on to someone on your team. And then they can have all the fun and all the responsibility that comes along with that, right? All right, then a few last things here. I do want to remind you all about the Gorilla Guide. Please do visit gorilla.guide and grab some of these free, easy to read ebooks. These are such interesting. If you're doing some poolside or dockside summer reading, what better way to spend your afternoons than exploring some of these enterprise IT books. These are all authored by top industry experts. There's a huge range of topics. It is a really interesting way to spend some time. So be sure that you are getting those books. Again, they're free. They're going to work on your mobile device or Kindle, whatever you've got there. All right. Well, the last thing I want to make sure I mention is the refer a friend. If you have a coworker, a colleague, a friend that you think would benefit from coming to a webinar, an EcoCast, a megacast, spending some time hanging out with the ATM crew, we would love to expand our community, and any friend of yours is a friend of ours. So make sure that you fill out that refer a friend. You're going to get redirected at the end of our webinar here, and there's actually a link for you in the handouts tab as well. And then, hey, both of you could win a $300 Amazon gift card. So that's just good news for everybody. All right, folks. Well, that's it for our housekeeping. We did it. We got through it. I tried to keep it as quickly as possible while still being understandable, right? That's always the balance. And now here we are at our keynote speaker. And I know those of you who are regulars here on the EcoCast will recognize this face, so you know we're in for a great keynote conversation. We are going to be chatting with the one and only Melissa Palmer, technology analyst, VMware certified design expert. And she's going to talk us through something that is really interesting, and that is the difference between shared responsibility versus shared fate. I'm really excited to get into this and hear a little bit more from you, Melissa. So thank you so much for joining us here today. I'm going to hand things right on over to you. Take it away.
Thank you so much, Actual Tech Media team. I'm so excited for today's event, the GCP ecosystem, tools and services that protect, manage, and improve your Google environment. Now, whenever we talk about any type of cloud ecosystem, we need to start with understanding what we are responsible for. This is called a shared responsibility model, and no matter how you consume the cloud, whether it be infrastructure as a service, software as a service, there is some component of this to understand. We, as the cloud consumers, have certain responsibilities in the cloud, and the cloud providers have a different set of responsibilities. Now, one kind of misconception out there is if I take my workloads to the cloud, everything is fine, everything is good because they take care of everything. I mean, why did the cloud get so popular? Because it was easy. I used to be able to take out my credit card, go sign up for Google Cloud, and start deploying workloads. They make it simple. And because it is so simple, a lot of people don't necessarily take the time to sit down and architect the cloud like you would an on-premises environment. I mean, I can't think of anybody that would just go order a bunch of data center equipment and then worrying about putting it together later, right? You're going to do all that up front. You're going to design your environment. You're going to talk about power, cooling, et cetera, and then you're going to layer the applications on top of it. And before you do that, you're going to design the application in terms of, okay, how many servers do I need? If I'm using the cloud, what services do I need to consume? And that almost right there is a really good synopsis of the shared responsibility with Google Cloud Platform, right? So I, as a cloud consumer, I don't need to worry about, hardware, power, cooling, whatever. I am going to consume services and They vary from compute services to storage services to database services. I'm going to consume those to build my environment. Now, this is great, but it has flaws because, like I said, everybody just takes out their credit card, goes to the cloud, and ends up in trouble later. And one area this is really prevalent is in cloud security. Now, GCP specifically has taken the shared responsibility model a step further and introduced the concept of shared fate because they do realize that this model is so flawed. Now, because of this, with the shared fate idea, Google is very invested in making sure that their platform is secure for you and that you have the tools and knowledge you need as a cloud consumer to secure your part of the model, right? So did you know that most cloud security breaches are the direct result of misconfigurations? So GCP is going to guide you on how to configure things in a way that makes you more secure. Now, we've talked a lot about cloud services, which are very helpful, right? Because so many organizations have workloads that require multiple service types. We need compute, we need storage, we need databases, we need desktops, whatever. And we really need to take a step back and think about security controls for these services and how they interact and where they kind of overlap. And this becomes even more critical when we bring in the hybrid cloud environment, right? Not everybody is going to deploy every single workload inside of GCP and get away from on-prem. Most people I've talked to generally have some kind of hybrid deployment. So not only do we need to deploy everything in GCP and keep that secure, it's going to be coming back to components on premises, and we need to make sure that security is great there too. Shared fate is all about providing resources to help focus on securing our environment, and we're still really talking about kind of that infrastructure layer or service layer that we're combining. And then GCP is going to take it a step further and teach you how those services interact and how to secure them. But one thing we really need to talk about, and this is true of GCP and any cloud and anywhere we're going to talk about anything, is protecting your data. As cloud consumers, we are the only ones responsible for protecting our data. Now, what does that mean? The cloud, like I said, is not magic. Things can still happen. You can still have someone get in your environment and encrypt your compute instances, right? You can still have accidental deletions. You still might accidentally overwrite something, right? Things can happen just like they would on-prem. So anything we're protecting against on-prem, we need to protect in the cloud as well, which means data protection is key, right? Protecting not only servers as we see them, like compute, right? If we're running database instances or we're using cloud storage, we need to be protecting our data wherever it is, however it is. And that's something that's often overlooked. And actually, in today's climate with ransomware is a key component when we start talking about security. So it's two things. It's security, right? Ensuring our environment is secure. And Google is really going to help us that with their notion of the shared fate model. And then protecting our data, which no one is going to help us with. Sure, there are native products built into clouds, but when you start kind of digging into things, in most cases, we need a solution that is going to span our whole environment, whether it be multi-cloud, hybrid cloud, or only public cloud. We need to find a data protection solution that is going to work no matter where we are, and it's going to work the same way and be easy to manage, right? We want things to be easy to manage in the cloud and multi-cloud and in hybrid clouds. So today, we're going to hear from some fantastic technology partners who are going to really help us with that, right? They're going to help us protect, manage, and improve not only the security and data protection, but the manageability of our Google environment as a whole. I am so excited to hear from these technology organizations today, so let's get started. Back to you, Actual Tech Media team.
Yes, I love that energy. Melissa's always so great at bringing up the positivity. Thank you, Melissa. Thank you for that wonderful start and some really great information. And now we are going to keep things rolling here with a question back to all of you. So our question for you all is, what's your time frame? What's the time frame that you have in mind for adding new or updating existing IT solutions? Of course, today we're talking GCP. So when you were clicking on yes, I want to attend this webinar today, are you thinking that you have immediate changes to make? You have maybe slightly longer term, or hey, you have no sweet clue. You just wanted to see what was out there and what are the possibilities possibilities? All of those answers are great, so just click on whichever one applies to you. And this just helps give us an idea of how we can make sure that we're getting you the information that you need when you need it. So we're just trying to collect an idea of where you're kind of at in your research journey. I gotta tell you, I'm seeing the vast majority of people in the not sure category. I say this a lot. That is one of my favorite ways to start a megacast, an EcoCast, a summit, because I find that means that there's a lot of people out there that are just sort of generally collecting information. You may or may not have a specific project and you're just kind of getting an idea of what's out there. And that is definitely what is so great about having all these different speakers and solutions here in front of us, is we're going to get that sort of broad strokes overview. For those of you, and I do see a pretty decent tie in the 0 to 6 months or 6 to 12 months, don't worry, you will have lots of actionable items coming for somebody that's looking to take some fast action here. Speaking of being able to take fast action and awesome solutions, let's get into our first session. I think it's about time to get things rolling here. It is my absolute pleasure to introduce you all to our first two expert presenters here on the EcoCast. And we are definitely starting out on a high note because we get to chat with the Rubrik crew. We're going to be hearing from Vasu Murthy, Vice President of Product, and Joshua Stenhouse, Field CTO, Cyber Resilience. Vasu and Joshua, thank you so much for being here to get us started today. I know you have some great stuff planned for the audience, including a demo with Joshua I can't wait to listen in on. So let's get things rolling here. Take it away, Vasu.
My name is Vasu Murthy. I'm VP of Products at Rubrik, and I'm joined by Josh Stenhouse, Field CTO at Rubrik. So the agenda for today, I'll take a few moments to walk you through our history. Why did we build Rubrik Security Cloud, and a short introduction. Then we'll spend bulk of the time in the session chatting with Frederick about his experience with Rubrik Security Cloud. And we have Josh joining us for a product tour. All right, I want to go back and start at the beginning. Rubrik was founded in 2014, and when we were founded, we really wanted to make data protection and backup extremely simple. So we built an entire stack that includes hardware, software, storage, all together, and that gave us a great opportunity to build a really secure stack, which is zero trust data protection. We get security from getting hardware and software together, immutable file system, a storage that's logically air-gapped, providing instant recovery, business-driven SLAs. We found great customer success doing that. And some of you have been customers from that time on when we did this zero trust data protection. The next iteration in our evolution was in cloud data management. As customers are moving more workload to the cloud and also having applications run in the cloud, we built features for moving backups to the cloud as well as protecting the cloud workloads. And this, again, we found great traction with customers. And we were really focused on providing better, faster recovery, automated backups that span, both data center, cloud, and SaaS. And we thought, the game was done in terms of data protection. Whatever we had to do, we did. But turns out around 2017, our first customer encountered a ransomware attack. What we learned from that really informed our next generation of evolution. Turns out security vulnerabilities were being exploited by tools that were previously used by nation states. And so it's not a question of if, but when an attack may take place. And when an attack happens, the recovery from that attack is not the same as your typical disaster recovery or a backup and recovery scenario. So specifically, the questions that we got from our customers are, hey, I don't want to restore my backup just from a few minutes before, a few hours before, but I want to restore a backup that is actually clean. So I want to know, when did malware enter our backups first? Was any sensitive data affected by an attack? Or can I recover data without reintroducing malware? So this is just not about a regular backup and recovery. This is really about looking for, when did malware occur, looking for identifying the last clean copy, restoring the clean copy, but moreover, constantly looking for vulnerabilities, because data itself can provide us signals on, what's going on in the security posture, of your data environment. So turns out we had to really go back to the drawing board and figure out what else we could do. How can we prevent customers from getting attacked in the first place? And even when they did, recover, quite fast. So that informed us on the next, journey in our history, in our evolution from the beginning, is about data security. So what we built was a set of tools, and you probably heard some of this in the keynote also: ransomware monitoring and investigation, sensitive data discovery, threat hunting, and so on. So that's really our journey. And in order to deliver, to that in a comprehensive way, we built Rubrik Security Cloud. So it is one console in which all data can be managed from all aspects of the functionality that we provide, which is data resilience, protect your data, make sure it's never compromised, data observability while monitoring your data for ransomware, manage sensitive data exposure, also surgically recover your applications, files, or users while avoiding malware reinfection. So all our functionality in protecting the data, detecting risks, remediating risks in one console. So that is really what Rubrik Security Cloud is. And really drilling down, I want to call out a few capabilities of Rubrik Security Cloud that really are quite groundbreaking. So for the first time, for all data that is in the data center, in the cloud, in SaaS, they all are managed through a single pane of glass with a single set of login that makes it much more secure, much more easy to manage, much simpler and smaller set of policies, and also much simpler set of role-based access control that applies to across your entire environment. And of course, on all of our data security functions, which is data observability, data remediation, are also available in the same console. And because it is a SaaS product, you can instantly access security innovations as we make, in this console. So faster innovation, one place to manage, super simple. These are a set of things that we set out to build. And of course, we really want to, hear from customers, right? So this is what we built, and this was released in August. Some customers like PCW Global have been very kind and actually have been trying this product even before our GA. But in fact, let's hear from Frederick. So Frederick, welcome.
Hi, Vasu. Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
I'll also invite Josh to kind of join with me in discussing with Frederick and asking him about his experience. So Josh, welcome.
Thanks, Asu.
Great. Frederick, why don't you start by giving us a little more of, an intro about you, your company, and how you've been using Rubrik?
Absolutely. So I'm working for Console Connect by PCCW Global, which is a technology company. We are providing next generation telecommunication services to various enterprises. My role in the company is to manage and maintain our on-prem data centers in both the US and UK. My team and I are managing the infrastructure and making sure our data is secured.
That's great. How important is data security in your overall cybersecurity strategy?
Well, that's a big question. In today's digital world, data is actually everything. And in order to maintain business continuity, we need to have a secure copy of all our data at all times, and especially in adverse conditions. We're seeing how attackers are today able to penetrate several security layers and get to the data, which makes data security a top priority for every IT organization. I would strongly recommend additional investment. Additional investments in data security to complement infrastructure security in order to recover from attacks with speed. Of course, we are not only talking about employees-related data, but even more importantly, probably our customer data.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've been a customer for us for a while. So how does Rubrik Security Cloud, we recently launched, enable your team and your organization to secure data against cyber threats?
Yeah, well, I see three main areas where Rubrik Security Cloud is actually helping us a lot. Firstly, the backup immutability of on-prem VMs. So in our case, we're talking about Nutanix HV, Linux, and Windows VMs, and cloud data on GCP on a single platform that give us the confidence that our data is safe and available when we need it the most. Next, our IT team has a global SLA domain that can be applied to any of all data objects. And this ensures we have centralized backup and protection of all our data on one platform. So there's no inconsistencies or there's no silos. And maybe lastly, I would like to mention that apart from fighting against ransomware, I'm a big fan of the global inventory view, which provides a bird's eye view of everything happening across our environment. Could be Nutanix, could be Linux, could be GCP workloads. So when you have multiple sites, and this is our case, so we have physical and virtual clusters, then you need to have a global view along with insights into potential threats to your workloads. And this makes our life easier as we don't have to toggle between different systems or interfaces. And we can keep a pulse on the security of our entire environment.
Awesome. That's great to hear. So do you use Rubrik to monitor malicious activity and detect risks today?
Yeah, well, the ransomware investigation module of the Rubrik Security Cloud enables us to continuously monitor for malicious activities or malware in our data. It's important to report that the Rubrik Security Cloud analyzes the metadata only, while the data remains in the source location. So nothing is actually transmitted outside of the cluster. So we configured an email redirection on the Slack channel to be alerted. So the team know in almost real time for any suspicious activity, and this helps us to react as fast as possible.
That's actually great. And also one thing new with Security Cloud is all of this functionality, including the backup, is all available. And in fact, recovery, monitoring, protection have been all available in one platform. What's the benefit of that?
Well, this is actually a game changer. With all our data protected on one platform, when disaster strikes, our team knows where to go. And with insights and suspicious activity, we can identify the initial point, scope, and the time of infection, which is very important. This means we could safely recover our business operation while avoiding reinfection.
Awesome. And we can do that in one console. You also need to do a bunch of steps on your side to make sure you're using Rubrik the best in the most secure way. Could you describe what else you're using to secure your environment?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are using the single sign-on functionality, which is ensuring that only authorized user can access the platform. We deployed as well the multiple factor authentication, and this is really a must these days. We have defined Active Directory users to simplify account management. So when a new admin joins, there is no need to create his account everywhere. We simply add him to the appropriate group. And when someone is leaving, we just have to deactivate his account in the AD. And this is relevant, and the relevant security settings is applied on each cluster.
Awesome. Josh, do you have any questions for Frederick?
Yeah, Frederick, how important would you say it is that you can still control the data sovereignty in the locality and keep it in the data center, but then gain the ability to have a global single control plane for backup and recovery?
Well, that's actually very easy. No, you don't need to connect on different environment, and you can even do a search to restore the object that was corrupt. So thanks to the Rubrik Security Cloud, you don't need to run in and out. You just need to go to the central console and everything is there.
Awesome. And Frederick, is there anything else you'd like to share with our viewers?
Well, yes. When we are talking about how to fight against ransomware, when they are already affecting our business, I have the feeling that anticipating the attack could also help in many cases. In our company, we are organizing regular security awareness sessions for our staff, and it really helps to empower our non-technical users on how they should use the professional environment in a safe way. So it means, for example, not clicking on any suspicious link in a mail, making sure their computer is up to date with the latest security patches, checking if the antivirus remain enabled, etc. Indeed, if the user are already well trained and aware about what could happen, it's really simplifying lives of the IT teams. Of course, it's not preventing us to have recovery means, but at least this is another level of easy protection, and I really encourage every business to have such internal sessions. This is well invested time in the long term.
Awesome. Frederick, thank you so much for being a customer, and we really appreciate you being on this breakout as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, so let's switch to Josh. Josh, love to see a product tour of Rubrik Security Cloud.
All right, let's take it away. So let me share my screen so you can all get an idea of exactly what is this security cloud, what does it look like, and what are the benefits that we're getting here. So the first thing is that this is your global dashboard when you log into the Rubrik Security Cloud. And this is something that we've actually given out to all of our existing customers. So nearly 5,000 customers in the world today, every single one of them now has access to the Rubrik Security Cloud. This is game changing because what it means is that now from a single centralized dashboard, you don't ever have to connect into that data center, establish a VPN just to do a backup, just to do a recovery. But furthermore, you don't have to go and create and manage backup policies and backup jobs and then role-based access control and security considerations on a per data center basis. Because guess what? The more data centers, the more room you have for error and creep, and you increase risk. So centralizing everything, removing the need to even connect via VPN to do a backup and recovery are some of the key reasons why you're going to want to use the Rubrik Security Cloud, whether you're an existing customer or a new customer coming in. Because straight away, what I want to emphasize is that it's not just about data protection. From the Rubrik Security Cloud, you can also see any anomalies and investigate a potential ransomware attack. We can do sensitive data discovery and look at what data is on our network, because this is going to be a risk in the event of a ransomware attack when we know attackers are going to exfiltrate anything that they have access to. And we also need to be sure that if we need to orchestrate a recovery, we have the ability to pre-build those recovery plans, test and prove in advance that we can actually recover. But all of this is predicated on having a backup in the first place. So a key element of the Rubrik Security Cloud is the global command and control of backup and recovery. But one thing that's fair to say is, well, hey, if I can log into this from anywhere and I don't have to VPN in, doesn't that create its own security concerns? So it is right to say that you're going to want to implement single sign-on, IP allow listing to limit who can even authenticate on this platform, and then globally enforce MFA so that nobody can log in without configuring MFA. And if you want to get data out, we can push it out via webhook, which is very important for alerting SIM, SOCs, and security teams if we find any potential encryption attacks or any results from a threat hunt. But if we focus on the backup use case, and what Frederick said is that he still has data in data centers. He still has Rubrik compute storage backing up and recovering within that data center. But all we're saying is that to manage it day to day, you don't have to go to that data center. So I can see all of my Rubrik clusters that I have deployed in my global environment. I can also centrally manage and upgrade the versions of each of these. So I can see, hey, this is my current estate. I can drive a non-disruptive upgrade, no impact to any backup operations from this central location. But then if you're just talking about day-to-day backup and recovery, if I go to the inventory here, everything in data center, you name it, it's got it. vSphere, Nutanix, Linux, Unix, Windows, SQL, Oracle, SAP, Kubernetes, NAS, Exchange, everything you can imagine. Active Directory, it's in here. But from this single inventory and control pane, I can also go to cloud. Azure, SQL, VMs, RDS, GCP, EC2, SQL managed instances. It doesn't matter. But then also SaaS, O365. And this is the game changer. Because if you look down the list of every data protection provider in the world today, of course every vendor says they can do it, and there's 50 different tools for every different use case. But it's always a different interface, a different set of policies, a different company altogether often. A lot of organizations have 2, 3, 4, 5 different backup technologies depending on what you're backing up. So what we're saying via this security cloud, and as Frederick mentioned, is the ability to create the idea of this global policy, an SLA domain that then you can say, this is my global policy, and I don't care if you're on premises or if you're in cloud or you're SaaS, this is your retention and this is the locality of the data. But furthermore, I can then globally report on all events, fails, completions, cancelled. I can also build reports on all of these. So for SOX and audit compliance reports, single pane of glass, and I can also see where am I doing my instant recoveries across my entire footprint. But if I give you a more specific example, if you think about day to day, let's say I need to recover a VMware virtual machine. All I got to do is inventory. I'm going to go to data center and vSphere, and I'm going to pick the first VM that I see. Let's say this is just somebody crashed an application, created an error, and a developer needs this virtual machine back from, let's say, yesterday. All I have to do is click on the calendar, and then I say, I want to recover this virtual machine, and where do you want to recover it? Now, yes, I'm controlling this via this global interface, but the actual recovery is being performed from the Rubrik cluster in the data center back to the production data stores and hosts for the fastest level recovery. It's not pulling it down from cloud. That's too slow. It's from the local immutable copy. And interestingly, for all of these operations, if I still want to log into the local Rubrik cluster interface, it's there. It has to be there for a local offline recovery. But for day-to-day management, I don't have to connect into that site and into that interface to do that recovery. But furthermore, that workflow is for an on-premises VMware VM. If I go back to my inventory and then SaaS, let's look at O365. I can now go to an individual user, and whether it's Exchange, OneDrive, I could also go to SharePoint and Teams, the exact same workflow, I can now recover a user's mailbox, calendar, contacts. I could do the OneDrive. I don't have to go to a different tool, a different interface. Everything is driven from the security cloud. But this is just the data protection. Because if we come back up a level, and then we go back to our global dashboard, then we can also look at, well, what are the anomalies that we're seeing inside those actual backups? Is this just a large amount of change? Or is this actually a ransomware attack? And here you can see that we're telling you not only that we're seeing a bunch of suspicious files being encrypted on these servers, but even the ransomware strain. Yes, that was encrypted last night, and we can immediately then start driving a file level recovery to restore the files, NAS, and unstructured data, but that doesn't mean you can recover the operating system to yesterday. And that's the biggest failing when you look across the industry today, is just presuming that if it was encrypted last night, you can recover to yesterday. Not true, because what you actually need is the ability to threat hunt. To say, I'm going to look for the actual malware itself, the attacker, the remote access tools. And the built-in threat hunting means that we can then tell you not just what was encrypted, but exactly when to recover to, what is a clean point in time, and then drive that recovery at scale, as well as being able to answer, well, what is the sensitive data that the attacker likely had access to? Built-in sensitive data discovery. Global command and control, but the scanning is done inside your data center. You make the decision on the recovery point, and then we can drive application level recovery and tell you for each application, when was the last time it was tested, when was it actually recoverable to, and how long did it take. So all of this and more is available today for every single existing customer. Every new customer coming in, you're going to start, live and breathe this Rubrik Security Cloud. Absolute game changer. It's going to change the way that you do backup and recovery, but give you instant access to all of the security capabilities that you're going to need in the event of a ransomware attack. That's my brief demo. Thanks, Vasu.
Awesome. Thanks, Josh. Really appreciate that. So if you're a customer, you more likely already have an invitation to upgrade to Rubrik Security Cloud. If not, talk to your sales rep. If you're not a Rubrik customer, this is the one product that really combines all data security, data resilience, observability, and remediation. So it's a great time to talk to the Rubrik account rep and get more information and learn more about it. Thanks for attending this breakout. Also, thanks to Frederick for joining us and Josh as well. And definitely reach out to us for any more information.
All right. Well, thank you, Vasu. Thank you, Josh. That was just a great conversation, really interesting to sit in on. And we appreciate you sharing all that information with us. Now, there's obviously a lot that we didn't get to cover today. There's lots more information out there, as Vasu was just saying. So one great way to get started, besides also reaching out to your rep, which is a good way to go, is to click on the poll right up on your screen here. So you can select data sheet, technical white paper, case study, whatever you need, whatever's going to be helpful for you, and Rubrik will send it right to you. So save yourself some steps here and just click on the poll and get the info that you need. Also, if you remember back at the top of the webinar here, we were chatting about the handouts tab. So if you haven't visited that handouts tab in a few minutes, head on over there. Make sure you've got that Rubrik ebook downloaded. This is Zero Trust Data Security for Databases. So you can read all about the tactics that you need to ensure that your databases get to stay up and running no matter what the threat or the attack. This is definitely worth the read. So be sure you've downloaded that, hang on to it, save it for later, but don't start reading it right now because we have lots more excitement left for you in the EcoCast, including our very first prize giveaway. So let's go ahead and give away a $300 Amazon gift card to someone who is here live and present with us at the EcoCast. And that someone is Michelle Reed of Wisconsin. Michelle Reed of Wisconsin, congratulations to you. You have won a $300 Amazon gift card. And we will be in touch about claiming your prize after we wrap up the EcoCast. But don't forget, there are still 2 more chances to win that Amazon gift card, plus that best question gift card from each session. But for now, we are going to keep things cruising right along because, folks, I have to tell you, there's some good news and there's some bad news here, all right? The bad news is this is our very last presentation of the EcoCast. Short and sweet today. The good news is it is definitely packing a punch because here we are in our absolute jam-packed with information and excitement grand finale, and that is the Do It team. We are going to be chatting with Mike Spar, Staff Cloud Architect at Do It. Mike, thank you so much for being here with us today. I'm really looking forward to this presentation. I know you've got some great stuff lined up for us, and we want to save some time to get into questions at the end. So I'm going to step back and hand things on over to you. Take it away, Mike.
Well, thank you, and I'm really glad to be here. And I appreciate everybody sticking around to let me educate you about Do It and also Google Cloud. So I kind of took a different approach on this discussion, and given the topic was tools and services that protect, manage, and improve your Google environment, I thought I would speak about the tools and services that are built into Google Cloud Platform that do exactly that, but then also what Do It brings to the table in filling in those gaps like you mentioned in the beginning. So the agenda that I'm going to discuss today, first a little bit about Do It and myself, and then I'll go into ways that you can protect, manage, and improve your Google Cloud environment by using the built-in tools, but then also some additional services or functionality that Do It's own product offers. So a little bit about Do It. We are kind of a unique company because we are a software product company, but we are also a cloud reseller partner, and we have a global team of deeply skilled technical experts that offer consulting, advisory, and support at no additional cost. And so our main focus is making sure people get the best of their cloud experience and realizing that original promise of the cloud, which is elasticity and only pay for what you use and things like that. Over the years, the cloud has become more and more complex, and it's more and more difficult to navigate those waters and know all those incentives and even make sense of your billing. But then also when you're using cloud resources, because the products are continually evolving, making sure that you're using those products in the best possible way. And that's where Do It really shines, because we have the expertise to advise, but we also have the products that complement the cloud vendors' platforms themselves to really make it a more pleasant experience. So a little bit of background. Our company was founded in Tel Aviv, Israel in, I think it was a little before 2011, but for over 10 years, we've been supporting companies worldwide in their cloud journeys. And I'm pleased to say that we continue to grow, and that's evident in the value that we deliver. We currently support over $1 billion a year in managed cloud spend and growing. And we now have just over 3,000 customers worldwide that trust us for their cloud advisory, billing, and FinOps software. And we serve customers in over 70 countries, and our expert engineers have earned over 700 cloud certifications. I'd be remiss if I didn't share that we are a multi-cloud partner. So we do work with customers that are on AWS, Google Cloud, and Microsoft. But this discussion today is focused mostly on Google Cloud. So thousands of companies have trusted us to be their cloud partner for one or more clouds that they're currently working with. And along the years, these companies have their own dedicated teams or expert engineers, and they've identified gaps or edge cases that were not served by the cloud vendors themselves. And that has resulted in feedback or our teams building open source software solutions to help fill in those gaps. And over the past probably 5-6 years, through some acquisitions and also building up our product and product management teams around the world, we've built a technology portfolio. We call it the Do It Console, but it consists of a few purpose-built products, namely automation for making sense of commitments and getting the best of cloud spend, taking advantage of those incentives programs, analytics, multi-cloud dashboard, and reporting for billing information to slice and dice your billing information the way you need to see it. And anomaly detection, this is a feature that I actually loved when I was a customer of Do It's before I joined about 3.5 years ago. And this can actually help you from the security standpoint in letting you know something's going awry, which I faced that myself. We have some other services like spot scaling, take advantage of spot instances, but still keep reliable workloads running. And BigQuery Lens, I'll talk about that a little bit later. And then attributions. If you follow the FinOps movement and FinOps principles, one of the core tenets is bringing in your engineering teams and making sure that they take ownership of their impact to the organization and their cloud spend. And one way to do that is to make it visible on what their impact is. So you can essentially group certain resources or projects or what have you according to how your business operates, whether it's unit economics like by customer or whether it's by environment or by team. You can see that billing information, how you need to see it to make sure everybody is chipping in and watching their impact to the bottom line. So a little bit about myself, and then we'll go into some features of Google Cloud that you may or may not be aware of that can help you protect, manage, and improve your cloud experience. My name is Mike Spar, as they stated. I'm actually in Missoula, Montana. We are a remote workforce. I've worked in the Bay Area and in Europe at various companies throughout my career. Before Do It, I built SaaS-based startups for about 17 years and then helped grow a couple other organizations. And my last organization was actually a Do It customer, and that's how I met the team at Do It. And I was so impressed with the team and the technical expertise that after our company was acquired, we had about 500 people. We merged with a 1,200 person company, combined 1,700 people, and I decided that I wanted to try something new, and got involved with Do It, and it's been an amazing journey. So just in the past 3.5 years, we've grown from 50 to 600 people and from 390 to 3,000 customers worldwide, and we continue to grow. So it's been a fun journey. Even in prior roles, more in senior leadership, I've always stayed technical. So when I'm helping our customers at Do It, I am very hands-on and still tinker with all the features and functionality of the cloud and create prototypes, proof of concepts, demos to make sure that I truly understand how the technology works before I would give advice to customers. So I currently on Google hold 6 professional certifications, and then I have others with CNCF, etc. So, but talking about protection. So when you heard the team at Rubrik talk about protection, a lot of it was planning for disaster, backing up your data, and then if some breach happens, being able to forensically analyze and find out that point in time when something happens so you can revert back to that area and recover from an issue. What I wanted to cover was a little bit more before something like that happens, and what you can do on Google Cloud itself to protect yourself, and just by using the features and functionality built in. So businesses in 2022, 27% have reported a cloud security breach. And this may or may not be accurate, because there's the people that know they've been hacked, or the ones that don't know they've been hacked. And so we'll use these numbers as just a basis point. But if over a quarter of customers have already faced a compromise, obviously protection is very important. When surveyed, according to ThreatPost, and this should be no surprise to the audience, most people have said misconfigurations, exposed data, which the team at Rubrik obviously covered on the backup and protecting your data. Compromised account and stolen credentials, vulnerabilities, bugs, and it could even be espionage or even internal actors. But regardless of the threats that are out there today, there are some things that you can do to protect yourself. So Google has these concepts. One of them is identity and access management. It should be not foreign to most of this audience, but there are some things you can do to optimize your usage of IAM and make the most of your cloud experience, but also protecting your cloud resources. So on the resource management side, you can leverage groups and assign IAM permissions only to groups, and you can assign them at different levels. So with Google Cloud, you can organize your infrastructure as an organization, which is basically your domain name, but then you can also have folders, which are logical groupings of your projects. And those folders could be mapped to your different divisions of your business and different environments of your products or services, or both. And the projects themselves, that's kind of the lowest common denominator. That's where the resources actually reside. So in a project, you would spin up your VMs or your storage. But you can have multiple projects, and Google makes it very easy compared to other cloud providers. So if you want to separate out your R&D, your development, your testing, your stage, your production environments, you can do those by separate projects. You can even separate out product lines by folder and then have the different environments by projects within that folder. So it's very easy to separate out those concerns, and that can also help protect you and your resources. Another way to protect is using organization policies, and then IAM conditions. And this is one thing that some people don't realize is available, but you can actually set parameters and say, well, I have this contractor, they're in this location, I'll give them access to this particular environment, but only from the hours of 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. That way, if any credentials were compromised, you minimize the potential impact because you've narrowed the time span when those credentials would actually be able to be used. So there are some features built in that can help protect you. And then from a proactive perspective, even before any issues occur, you can harden and improve your infrastructure by using Google's built-in Security Command Center. So I highly recommend the free standard version of Security Command Center. That should just be a step one when you're setting up Google. And what it will do is it will scan and analyze your environments and look for different rules based on best practices, based on NIST standards and others. And it will give you a list of findings. It'll say, hey, you have these external IPs, or you've overgranted permissions to these, or what have you. Or you haven't set up these monitoring alerts for these particular events that might occur. And what you can do is systematically go through, and it even tells you the remediation steps on how to fix each one of those findings. So that's a great tool for hardening your environment. And there are some other products that I've listed here, like Cloud IDS, intrusion detection, Cloud Armor, which is like a WAF firewall, VPC service controls. I'll talk about that a little bit later. And then Cloud Operations. Really, you need to be able to observe what's happening in order to be able to enhance it, which we'll talk about later, and also to fix it. So be aware of features and functionality built into Google already that can help protect your cloud infrastructure. What I thought I would do is quickly walk through the cybersecurity kill chain. You may or may not be familiar with it. This is a great illustration by Exabeam, which is actually another customer of DoIT's, that I'm proud to say. But they did a really great job of illustrating the different stages of the cybersecurity kill chain, where some threat actor would go through ultimately these steps to compromise your environment and exfiltrate data. So usually starts at reconnaissance, and then it works its way to the right with intrusion, exploitation, privilege escalation, lateral movement, obfuscation, denial of service, and exfil. And they indicate with the little blue symbols there, what are the indications of these steps actually occurring in your environment. And what I thought I would do is just tell you about some of the things that are built into Google Cloud that you can do to protect against these at these stages. So the first few stages, the reconnaissance, some of that is just social media and you're not going to be able to protect from that. But there might be some indicators that it is going on. And intrusion and exploitation. So what you can do is you can reduce your attack surface by implementing organization policies that prevent external IP addresses, and then making sure that all inbound traffic comes through Google's front end and cloud load balancing, and egress traffic going through Cloud NAT. So you control where the traffic's coming in and where the traffic's going out for your entire infrastructure. And then when you do have exposed resources, minimizing any exposed ports by using the firewall. And these would probably be common things that you would expect. You can also leverage Cloud Armor policies for allow listing or deny listing certain geographical regions, implementing rate limiting, and also helping mitigate the OWASP top 10 threats like cross-site scripting, SQL injection, etc. After reducing the attack surface, which can kind of help in those first few stages of the kill chain, assume something gets beyond that and they're already in your environment and you need to detect. You can leverage the Security Command Center findings. And if the Security Command Center findings say, hey, you need to implement these log events and these log alerts and these notifications for privilege escalation, for example, if you followed those findings, then you would be notified if there was a privilege escalation on some IAM role for a service account or a user. And so that can help you in that privilege escalation. And then you can also leverage Cloud IDS or intrusion detection service. which also requires packet mirroring. So depending on your network traffic, that can be kind of expensive, but that is a way to also indicate if something is misconfigured or if there's some mischievous activity going on in your environment. Beyond that, to try to minimize lateral movements and the obfuscation, you can separate concerns, like I mentioned before, with group-based IAM roles, separating your resources by environment, and also leveraging org policies and disable service account key downloads. And then from a forensic standpoint, to thwart the obfuscation phase, doing audit log syncs to export your audit logs to a dedicated project. So that way, up to the point where somebody might want to be covering their tracks, you have all the audit logs in a separate secure environment that's only accessible by a different team, so you can still do those forensics. But assume that a bad actor got all the way through all of those layers of security and they were trying to exfiltrate data. You can also leverage VPC service controls and their ingress and egress policies to specifically allow certain methods and operations on each of those data resources only for the services that should have access to them. And then you can leverage encryption, customer managed encryption keys, or data loss prevention, Cloud DLP, for obfuscation to further protect your data if it does fall in the hands of the wrong party. So those are some of the resources that Google offers. One of the things that DoIT adds to the table, aside from maintaining expertise in the cloud products themselves, is a lot of our team members, myself included, come from other organizations. And so we've gone through these scenarios in the past. So we can offer, I guess, opinionated advice on how to structure your organization, your projects, your networking to take the best advantage of securing your Google Cloud. So from a management perspective, I just have a few other points to cover, and then we can open up for questions. One of the things that people kind of neglect is 82% of people surveyed said cloud cost management is the top security challenge. And I mentioned before that we have a product that offers FinOps dashboard and cost prevention. So Google also has tools leveraging labels for your resources so you can track your spend, using budgets and cloud monitoring and recommendations. Those take you to a certain level, but the enhanced cost management that DoIT offers with our FinOps dashboard and our features like anomaly detection and alerting, those take the built-in functionality to the next level. And these are why our customers have stuck with us over the years, and we've grown so rapidly, even with companies that have become very large enterprises, because when they've shared feedback on the way they need to manage their cloud infrastructure and the way they need to see their billing information or how they need to be notified, our products have evolved with our customers to meet those needs. So we fill in that gap where there's some basic functionality offered by the cloud provider, but then we essentially provide a wrapper layer at no extra cost to protect your cloud spend and your cost optimization. Beyond the tools that are used for managing cloud resources, one of the features that we offer, for example, is called BigQuery Lens. And BigQuery Lens actually analyzes your usage of BigQuery, identifies inefficient queries, and makes recommendations. But you can also slice and dice the data and say, hey, here's my inefficient queries, or here's the users in my organization that are running up the biggest costs. Maybe I need to find out whether or not those workloads are necessary or not. And I think this is important more now than ever because of the new pricing with BigQuery. And that's something that our team can kind of guide you through, but our products also help simplify that journey. So I guess I'd wrap and say that aside from the products that are already built into the cloud, that our team are experts in, We have additional products and solutions to kind of augment and enhance what Google already offers. But then we also have the experts that can help our customers make the most of their cloud experience and deliver on that original vision, like I mentioned. So with that, we can open up for questions. I think there were a few questions in the chat, but if we're short on time, I just want to thank everybody for attending and really appreciate the opportunity to share information about Do It, myself, and also hopefully educate you a little bit about Google Cloud's built-in features, but then some of the enhancements that Do It offers when customers work with us for their cloud journey and their purchasing their cloud services. So thank you very much.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a poll question up for everyone out in the audience. And this is another great way to make sure, because we're not going to get into the Q&A today. If you want to have this conversation continued, click on the poll and let Do It know how they can follow up with you. Another thing you can do is just really quickly get those questions into the questions tab, or just say, hey, I'd like to hear a little bit more. Any comment in that questions tab will go to the Do It team and they will follow up with you. And Mike, it certainly wasn't long-winded. It was just very informative. And I know there was a lot to cover in a short period of time. So I want to thank you very much for coming and spending some time with us today. It's been a really interesting chat.
No, thank you very much. And thanks for having me, and appreciate the feedback and the interest from everybody that's tuned in.
And before I let you go, Mike, if somebody wants to get started other than clicking on the poll, what do you recommend as a first step to getting involved with Do It?
Visit doit.com, just DOIT.com, and contact us, reach out. If you're not already working with us, hopefully you are, but a pleasure.
All right. Well, thanks, Mike, and I hope we get to chat with you again soon.
All right. Thank you very much.
All right. And to all of you out there clicking on the poll, keep up the good work. Keep those questions coming in. I know we're running a bit late, so I'm going to give the prize away very quickly, and then we'll wrap things up and get you on back about your days today. All right. So we have 2 more $300 Amazon gift cards that we're going to give away. Oh, before I do that, now I'm getting ahead of myself. Remember to head on over to the handouts tab. Be sure to get the Do It and Google Cloud ebook. It's the Cost Conscious Cloud, a digital native's guide to understanding and optimizing public cloud costs. Such an interesting read. And again, another great thing that you're going to want to hold on to and have after we wrap. So be sure you've got that handout downloaded, set aside, and hold on to that before we close out our console here today. All right. So those prize giveaways for somebody here live and present with us at the EcoCast. And those 2 next winners are Dave Zenz of Arizona, and Kevin Hanlon of California. I'm going to read that full winners list for you again. Michelle Reed of Wisconsin, Dave Zenz of Arizona, and Kevin Hanlon of California. Congratulations on your $300 Amazon gift cards. Thank you so much for being here and present, and we will follow up with you after we wrap up today. Now, don't forget about that best question gift card. You are also entered to win just by asking a question. So keep those questions coming in even now, and we'll make sure that you get some answers, and you are also entered to win, even though we did not get to that Q&A with Mike today. All right, well, I'm going to move the poll. So last chance to click on it. If you haven't already, run back to your screen and make sure you click on that. Oh, good. I see Michelle is in the audience today. Congratulations on your win, Michelle. We'll make sure we follow up with you. All right. Well, on behalf of the Actual Tech Media team, I want to send a big thank you to all of our speakers here today from Rubrik and from Do It for making this EcoCast possible. What an interesting conversation it has been. And I do also want to remind you all that if you're interested in presenting on an EcoCast, a summit, a megacast, a webinar, whatever you have in mind, we would love to have that conversation with you. So please do shoot us a message at connect@actualtechmedia.com. And on that note, speaking of all of you wonderful humans out there, the biggest thank you of the day definitely goes to our audience for attending, for asking some great questions. It really is an exciting conversation to kind of dig in and explore these things a little bit. And obviously, as we were just saying with Mike, there's a lot to cover here. GCP is a big topic, and there's a lot of ways that you could approach it. So there's lots more to learn. We're just kind of scratching the surface, but these conversations are what maybe allows us to see something that we might not have known was a gap in our strategies or in our infrastructure, or maybe we are aware of, but we weren't sure how to fix it, and maybe share some of our own insights with others. So that's what's so wonderful about being part of this community, right? And speaking of the community, please do come back and join us again. We have an expert series Friday, July 21st at 12 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. Firewalls, why they matter and where they fit in the cloud era. That is going to be such an interesting conversation. So come back and join us for that expert series again, Friday, the 21st. That's this Friday, noon Eastern, 9 Pacific, on firewalls and why you should be considering them and why they are important or how they fit into your cloud infrastructure. So make sure you come back and join us for that. I'm seeing some awesome high fives coming in from the crew out there, and I want to thank all of you for that. It's so great to hear that these sessions are resonating with you all. So thank you for sharing that with us. We always love those high fives. And for all of you out there, I hope that you have a wonderful day. I hope that this has started it out on a great note. And most of all, I hope that I will get to see you all again soon. And until that, have an absolutely beautiful end to your day.